Hey there. I have a question for you. Actually, a couple of questions, but I have just one question. Are you really invested in the operations of your business? And before you say, of course I'm invested in the operations, what are you talking about? I will give you some clarity on the question. But let me just introduce myself really quickly. If you haven't seen or heard or even forgotten about me, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays. I demystify technology for small and medium sized businesses so that they can finally stop duct taping their systems together and scale with confidence. And I do so through marketing, technology, and AI. So here's what I want to talk about: being invested in operations. And sometimes operations isn't sexy. I know lead generation and, the marketing aspect of it is the glamorous part. You do your Canva images, you post on social media, those types of things. But what happens when you now need to grow your team, have your team move in one unit, and also bring on new team members and offboard team members? What does that look like, and what systems do you have? And before you say, oh, Kim, I use Asana, come on. No, I'm not talking about the software. I'm talking about the systems. I'm talking about the processes that make everything really work together. Do you have this in place? And the reason why I ask this is because I know people who have hired virtual assistants in the past, and maybe they didn't have a clear understanding of what the virtual assistant was supposed to do or what they wanted them to do. And then the virtual assistant wants to do everything to make the business owner happy. And for some reason, there's an incongruency. It doesn't work out. Or what happens if you take on multiple virtual assistants or multiple freelancers or multiple people? You now need to integrate them into your vision, number one, and you need to integrate them into your ways of working. And this is what I mean by investing in operations. And I'll give you an example, story time too, is I used to have a collection of people that helped me out in my business, and a lot of it went really, really well. A lot of it did not go so well. And I think looking back on it, it's really about making sure that everyone is bought into the why. And this is really important because when you bring on people who just see your business as something that you need to just check off on their list, they have other clients, maybe they have other projects, it gets really hard to fold them into your ways of working, to the things that you need them to do. And even if they are working with you full time, they still need to be brought in, because people who are bought in, tend to do better work and produce better outputs. But we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about the systems that you need, or the actual tools, the software that you need to actually run everything. So your business ecosystem matters more than any particular tool, right? I went platform agnostic many, many years ago, where I started telling people, look, I don't care what you use. You can use a spreadsheet, you can use Asana, you can use Airtable, you can use whatever it is that you want. It just has to work. The minute that you say this does not work, you have to identify what's not working and what is the best substitute or the replacement or the fix for that particular tool. But I never tell anybody you have to use one particular thing, because at the end of the day, they all will work for somebody. Not everything works for everybody, but everything will work for at least one person. And the idea behind what I say is not to, it's not to rigidly enforce one tool. And it's not to say that you need to try everything. It's to say that you need to take a step back and say, all right, does this thing align with the vision that I have and where I want to go? So that's one area, is like your business ecosystem matters more than any one particular tool. So you're going to need a couple of things in your business ecosystem. You're going to have a way to take leads. You're going to have a way to communicate with people, right? That's either your social media accounts, not either, but those have to be your social media accounts, your email marketing, which is not optional. And you need to also have other tools, other ways to reach out, other channels. A lot of people use SMS, which is text messaging, use with caution, but they use that. A lot of people use direct mail. A lot of people use, just direct reach outs, whatever the case may be. That's the ecosystem more than any one tool. And it's finding tools that would really match with what you have going on. And then operations is no different, because how do you fulfill on the things that people have bought into, whether they bought into a service or even a product? How do you onboard new clients? How do you set up your team to fulfill on that work? How do you offboard your clients? And how do you set up your team to run the day-to-day operations of your business? So first of all, you need data. You need to build a single source of truth for all your confident decision making, right? And this could be your Google Analytics from your website, your analytics from your email marketing system. This could be any sort of analytics, and you need to bring it into one place. And you need to see what's working, what's not working. Where are things getting dropped? Where are deadlines getting dropped? Where are tasks getting dropped? You need to build all of that so that you can say, all right, well, here are the bottlenecks. Here's where things are breaking. And I need a piece of software, and I need a set of processes to now fix it. And here is another thing that you could do. So once you've built your single source of truth, this could be a database. This could be even a spreadsheet. This could be some way that you continuously collect data and look at it. Your execution might vary, of course. Some people use Zapier to bring everything in one place, but you can do that manually. But you just need that one place. And then, here's the thing, you could create standard operating procedures for your team, roles, and buy-ins for smooth execution. So remember what I say about buy-in, being bought in. You can then create documentation based on what it is that you need. So for example, if you need a more robust content calendar, you can work with your team to say, all right, we don't post enough, or maybe we post too much, and here are the posts that are most engaging. Here are the posts that are least engaging. Based on my information, here's the best time to post. You can try different things. Same thing with email. Same thing with just fulfilling on work. Where are deadlines being missed? Where are tasks being dropped? Where are the slowdowns and the bottlenecks? So once you have this data, you create the buy-in. You can create the North Star, where it's like, okay, well, here's the problem, and here is the outcome that I want to get to. And then your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, are very, very important, especially if you have a high turnover, or if you have contract people working for you. You're going to be cycling through various individuals. So that needs to be clear, as well as the roles, like what role does everyone play, who is responsible for what task, who is accountable for that task. So that way you have that cohesive ecosystem that you can execute with any tool. Now, I personally like Airtable just because I feel like Airtable can do so much. It can do content management, it can do customer relationship management, and it can do project management. But so can Asana, so can a few others too. That I'm trying to think of some other good ones. There's ClickUp. I know a lot of people like that, and there's just too many to name, right? You're probably not going to get far if you just throw in project management tools into Google. You're going to get tons, right? And that's what I mean by being platform agnostic, because you're going to get so many tools. It's impossible to say this is a particular tool that I need to use and no other ones. But what makes it possible to select one is having that blueprint, having that thing, having a blueprint and having that thing, that North Star that you want to get to. So once you have that, it's deciding what's worth putting into a process, putting into a system versus shiny distractions. And this is a reason why I talk about having your blueprint and your plans first before you go software shopping, just so that you won't get bedazzled by something new and fun, like, oh, well, now you can, I don't know, create little avatars that talk to your employees, or some gimmicky features that you may not need. So if you say, well, I need a task management that will alert people when tasks are slipping, alert me when tasks are slipping, I need something that will remind my staff to stay on top of their emails or social media posts or whatever the case may be for you, then you can find exactly that and pretty much only that as a priority. So AI is definitely a piece of this puzzle and not the whole thing. So when we talk about systems and I talk about like what you can do with AI, yes, AI becomes really important. Remember when I talked about that single source of truth, where if you have your data all in one place, you can then use OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, whatever flavor you want to use. You can then prompt it in various ways to look at the data that you have and then ask it based on what you have, please justify, 3 options that I can use to get to a particular outcome. And don't worry, I will show some of those prompts probably a little bit later. But, these are really simple ways you can use a foundational large language model in your business without having to invest in other types of software, because there's so much software out there. And because I'm platform agnostic, I'm also realistic, and I know that budgets are very much a thing. So I try to look for things that can do multiple things. And I think using one of the foundational models is a very good investment and use of your time. So if you have not subscribed to one, and I mean subscribe like a paid subscription to ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, definitely do that, because that's going to get you comfortable in using it as an operations manager, partner, operations system. So definitely do that. But just think of it as, all right, you have a blueprint. You can select software that aligns with where you want to go, paying attention to your standard operating procedures, your project management task, your lead generation task, and your content management task, all as being part of one ecosystem in which you can invest wisely in some software. And you can definitely use AI to do that. You can't invest in anything nowadays without an AI component. I don't care what platform you use, there's going to be an AI component embedded in it. But you also want to invest in a foundational model, because I like having that autonomy of creating my own prompts, of choosing my own model, and just having something independent that I can pull information from. But that's just me. Do what works for you, but hopefully this has sparked something in you. And if you want to learn more about using AI for operations, and you want to learn about systems, various systems that you need and maybe don't need, just take the AI Systems and Scorecard Quiz. It's a 5-minute quiz, because I know we don't have a lot of time. A 5-minute quiz that kind of tells you where you are and maybe give you some guides on like where to get started. And can I discern that with 5 questions? Well, I like to think that I did, right? So the only way to know is to take the quiz, get the guidebook. I have guides and tips and everything that come with it at the end of it based on what you've answered. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So definitely check that out. Stay curious, and I will see you in the next video. But before I go to, if you want to work directly with me, if you need direct support beyond the Systems and Scorecard Quiz, maybe you already have a process that isn't working, is a little buggy, need some help, need some support, I'm here for you. So you can also book an automation insight session. It's a free 30-minute session where we talk about what's working, what's not working, where you are, where you want to be, and how I could best get you there. All right, now I am done with all of that. I will speak to you next time. Have a great day and stay automated. All right, bye.